everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Engineering Influence podcast by the American Council of Engineering Companies. My name is Shreya, and I'm very happy today to be joined by Keith Molenaar, representing the ACEC Research Institute, and we're going to be talking about design, build, delivery methods of engineering today. Keith, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's lovely to have you here.
So happy. Thank you for the opportunity.
So let's just dive right in. What exactly is the design build method?
The design build method is a project delivery method, and that's where one project team for both design and construction has a single contract with the owner. It does vary quite a bit by procurement method and payment methods. So for example, with the procurement method, you can have a best value procurement method, or you can have a qualifications-based procurement method. It also varies with contracting method, for example, a lump sum payment method or a cost reimbursable payment method. So the essence is one contract for both design and construction between the owner and the design builder.
Okay, great. So how has the design build method evolved over the years, and what factors contribute to its growing adoption in the engineering industry?
Sure. Well, design build is really one of the oldest contracting or project delivery methods. The first time in history it was used was back with the Code of Hammurabi, where absolute accountability was fixed on the master builder. Here in the U.S., it's really grown in both volume and use since the 1990s, when the public sector and some of the private sector started using it. It looked a lot like the design bid build method, where it was very competitive in pricing, sometimes used a lump sum procurement method and contracting method. But since then, it's really evolved to where it uses all types of procurement methods. We're starting to see a lot more qualifications-based and a lot more cost reimbursable contracting.
That's great. I think its evolution is honestly very interesting.
Yeah, yes, it really is, and it continues to evolve.
Perfect, as anything should, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So based on your research, how does design build compare to traditional delivery methods in terms of cost efficiency, schedule adherence, and overall project performance?
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to be doing research in design build since the early 90s and seen different studies across a variety of sectors, from vertical buildings through horizontal construction, water, wastewater. Pretty consistently, from the owner's perspective, it really does deliver a project much faster than traditional design bid build, because we can overlap design and construction and get construction going before the actual design is finished in many cases. What's interesting in some recent work we've done for ACEC is looking at it from the designer's perspective. And although the owner's getting things faster, there can be some challenges for some of the team members with risk allocation and other elements. But overall, the popularity has grown so much because of the efficiency and the effectiveness of the delivery method.
So essentially, when those two teams, design and construction, communicate, things happen more efficiently and quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't even necessarily need to start construction before design to get something done faster. It's just the collaborative nature of the team. For example, coming up with solutions that can be built faster through better constructability, having the contracting and construction team integrated into the early design methods.
Yeah, cross-communication leading to more efficiency, always.
Absolutely. Yep.
So the study highlights some concerns about risk allocation in design-build projects. How do you think stakeholders can ensure a more balanced approach?
Yeah, that's a great question. It really begins with the owner and their understanding of risk allocation and the implications that can have on project success and project cost overall. There is an attractiveness for owners because you have a sole point of responsibility to shift a lot of risk onto the design build team. Frequently, design builders will take on that risk, but if an owner doesn't look in detail at those risks, they can end up really paying more and actually can even create disputes between team members because they haven't equitably allocated the risks. So I think what we're seeing with the owners who really thoughtfully look at risk, but more so get the design build teams involved in a discussion of risk, is really where we're seeing better results and more effective projects.
And so how do you think, like, we talked a little bit about integrated collaboration. How do you think doing that early and often among owners, designers, contractors, how does all of that influence the success of these projects, design build projects?
Well, when you look at engineering and construction projects, they're incredibly complex, right? With, hundreds, if not thousands, of people working on them from all various trades. The earlier we can get construction knowledge, the earlier we can get operations knowledge, the earlier we can start to think about the complexity of the project, the better chance we have at a successful project. So having those integrated teams come together to work on solutions that don't shift risk too much to one party, but really equitably put the risk across the team, really does support more effective project delivery.
Yeah, and like you said, earlier, it causes less dispute between teams because then one team is not taking on all the risk and super stressed, right?
Yeah, that's generally true, but it does take the owner assigning risks to the team members that can best manage them. And it also takes the team members being willing to be on those projects or walk away when they get risks that they can't take on, because that's where we're really seeing disputes arise from that early misalignment of risk or early acceptance of risk.
Yeah. And with recent infrastructure investments, how do you foresee the role of design build evolving in large-scale public projects?
As I said, I've been lucky to be looking at this delivery method for almost 30 years now, and I keep seeing the industry shift away from a traditional design bid build to design build, where it's near or almost half of the market. For infrastructure, it's incredibly effective, and that's because the time to delivery is so much less. So when you think about large infrastructure projects, they can take years, even up to 10 years. And so the earlier we can get the teams together, the faster we can get to construction, the more effective that is. And when you think about the benefits to the taxpayer or the traveling public, getting that project open and in use is really one of the key success factors.
Yeah, overall it sounds like design build really is the future of project management and project delivery.
Yeah, we keep seeing it grow. I think it's not the only project delivery method out there, so we do need to be cautious to see it as a panacea or as we'll solve all of our problems, because there's still really opportunities to use design bid build in the right situations on the right projects when it's the best to allocate risk. But for projects that need to be delivered quickly and where you get benefits from innovation coming from early construction knowledge and design, it really is working quite well for the industry.
That's so interesting,
yeah.
Genuinely. And is there anything else from the study you would like to cover or highlight?
Yeah, I think, we're just wrapping up phase one of our look into progressive design build. And what progressive design build is a form of design build where the team, both designer and constructor, are hired through qualifications based. So in the beginning, not on price. And then they work with the owner together during the first phase to validate a scope and to come up with a scope that fits within a budget and create a design build budget. I've just been astounded at the response that we've gotten on this first phase of the study. We had more than 500 responses to our initial questionnaire to look at interest. A couple things really stick out there. First, 76% of the participants that we saw are satisfied with the progressive design build method. That's higher than our traditional and our phase one study that we did for ACEC, where it was really a little bit less than a third were really satisfied. So just that high level of satisfaction is really surprising. Also, the use across all markets, from water, wastewater, through vertical buildings, through aviation and infrastructure, highways, rail. It's been much more pervasive than I thought. So that's really exciting. We still really want to look at, where on those few projects that aren't successful, that people aren't satisfied, we really want to learn why. And it does seem to be coming down to misalignment of risk allocation at the beginning of the project. I think the more we can learn about that and develop tools, the even more successful the delivery method will be.
Yeah, definitely keeping the communication lines clear will probably help prevent that misalignment, right?
Yeah. And it all is, I think what's really sets progressive design build up for success is just what you said, that the ability before you come to a price to have a very open dialogue on what solutions will cost and what time frame they can be done, and really scope a project within the budget that you have available to meet the project objectives.
Okay, that is about all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Engineering Influence podcast, live to you from the ACEC 2025 Annual Convention and Legislative Summit. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode.